Joe Biden has spoken out in support of the protests going on in Iran right now in response to the killing by law enforcement of Mahsa Ameni. And good stuff that he's doing that. As a quick summary, if you are unfamiliar with this story, there was a 22-year-old woman in Iran named Mahsa Ameni, and she got taken into custody by what they call the morality police for not wearing her hijab, or the head covering, and ended up getting beat so severely that she died. Now, of course, the Iranian government denies these claims, but the evidence on the side of her getting beat, witnesses observed this to the point of death, is significant and heartbreaking. And so we'll read about this and then again get to that moment from Joe Biden. And so this death of Mahsa Ameni sparked a nationwide protest. Take a look. Protests rocking Iran over the death of a 22-year-old woman in police custody have spread to at least 50 cities, even as police arrest and kill demonstrators in a violent crackdown. Videos showing women burning their headscarves and crowds chanting "death to the dictator" amid burning cars are flooding social media despite the Iranian government's intermittent shutdown of the country's internet. The uprisings were triggered by the death of Mahsa Ameni, a Kurdish Iranian woman who was arrested for allegedly breaking Iran's strict rules on wearing the hijab, the Islamic head covering for women. She died while in police custody, reportedly suffering multiple blows to the head. So just brutal stuff, but then a call for progress in the country of Iran because of this, led largely by women, which is absolutely incredible. And here's that moment from Joe Biden.
Well, thank you so much. Look, unfortunately, the story Susan told is not unique. And it's, many, many families that are going through this. But before I begin, into my discussion today, I look over there and I see free Iran. And I want you to know we stand with the citizens and brave women of Iran. For real. For real. And who right now are demonstrating to secure their very basic fundamental rights. Women and men should have the right to freedom of expression and assembly. And women all over the world are being persecuted in various ways, but they should be able to wear in God's name what they want to wear. No one should be telling them what to wear. And Iran has to end the violence against its own citizens, simply exercising their fundamental rights. And, Mahsa Ameni's death was, I've been doing foreign policy a long, long time. It stunned me what it awakened in Iran. And it's awakened something that I don't think will be quieted in a long, long time. And so I want to thank you all for speaking out. I want to thank the Persian community here.
We'll stop it there, but totally agree with him. And it is important that in these types of situations, the United States president makes their opinion known, because that's always relevant just internationally. And it is significant what's happening there. Based on a lot of different kind of analysts I've seen, protests in the history of Iran and about this particular regime and all that type of stuff, this is pretty historic and pretty significant. And we do support that effort because the regime right now in Iran is pretty severe, pretty brutal to their citizens. So last element of this that is pretty interesting, the European Union has sanctioned some people involved in the morality police, as well as some other officials. Reading from Al Jazeera, the European Union has imposed sanctions on Iran's morality police and information minister over their alleged roles in the security crackdown against anti-government protests that erupted after the death of a 22-year-old woman in government custody. Two leading morality police officials, those individuals are among 11 people whose assets were frozen by the 27-nation bloc on Monday. They are also banned from traveling in Europe. The Iranian law enforcement forces and a number of local police chiefs were also targeted for their role in the brutal repression of the protests, said a statement released after EU foreign ministers endorsed the sanctions at a meeting in Luxembourg. So the EU also condemning through these sanctions and taking action based on the brutal response from the Iranian government and their law enforcement to these protests, people making their voice known. So fascinating stuff, and we'll continue to follow it.